Hello, everybody, and welcome to How's That Working For You? My name's Bryan Robinson, and I am the shrink.
And my name is Monica Parker, and I'm Smarty Pants.
Boy, is she ever.
Our mission on How's That Working For You is for a lot of people, they get it right. And then there's those who struggle, and they keep making the same missteps time after time. And if they do, they're destined to repeat.
Today, we have someone by the name of Shane Heath. He founded, and is the CEO of MUD WTR. We'll talk about that in just a minute. And so, Shane, it's great to have you here today.
Thank you for having me on.
One of the things I'm really curious about is how you got from the hustle culture that you talk about to where you are today. You built this huge business developing healthy products for our minds, one of which is mud water. And I'd like for you just to talk a little about what was involved in your transition from sleep when you're dead to where you are now when you have meetings that start with breath work and meditation.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, wild journey, and enjoying every second of it. So, I mean, as you know, the journey always starts when you're young, right? And from a young age, I had amazing parents that brought some unique perspectives that I think are relevant to today. My dad was a builder, so I was always around creativity, homes or architectural drawings getting turned into homes, actually, that I would eventually sleep in. And then my mom has been working for one of the biggest mushroom growers in North America since before I was born. And she still works there today. Yeah. So I grew up in a household where I was surrounded by both creativity and mushrooms. Um, the funny thing is I went to college and I studied design. So I wasn't really pursuing either of those fields directly. I got out of school, jumped into the entrepreneurship world, was working in Silicon Valley. Like you said, totally bought into the hustle culture, sleep when you're dead mentality. And one of the side products of that is developing a really strong addiction to caffeine. Like all of my colleagues, everyone around me, I thought that coffee or caffeine would allow me to do more and do it faster. And so it was the fuel of choice for that that era and that lifestyle. And so I was drinking tons of caffeine, didn't really think anything of it, was hustling, grinding, not thinking about sleep, not thinking about how caffeine could negatively impact things in my life. And I started to feel anxious. I started to feel like, in my field of work, creativity is everything. And I feel like more and more so in the modern day, how we do our job is more important than what we're actually doing. Like an hour of work doesn't necessarily equal an hour of output. It's the quality of the work. And I started to notice that when I was hyped up on stimulants, I had this kind of fight or flight response going on, and I felt like I was less creative, and then I wasn't sleeping well, and then I was more anxious, and it was kind of this vicious cycle. Um, and I started to wonder if maybe I wasn't predisposed to tolerate high doses of caffeine on a daily basis, or at least in my line of work, it wasn't the best thing for me. And, I reflected back on my childhood, mushrooms, all of these different things growing up, and I started to play with a morning ritual that was more than just a vessel for caffeine. I started adding cacao, masala chai, and then these mushrooms like lion's mane for focus, chaga, reishi for immune support, cordyceps for physical performance. And I started to feel amazing. I had no intentions to start a company. I just wanted to feel better and I wanted to perform better. And I found something that really gave me that. I started bringing this with me everywhere. Obviously, this was with me at the office, and that's kind of when the business aha moment started, where someone like people around me were just like, "What is that? What are you drinking there?" And I guess previously I thought that I was unique, dealt a bad hand of cards. I couldn't handle caffeine. Everybody else was fine. But eventually, these conversations would highlight that pretty much everyone around me was either trying to quit altogether or drink a little bit less caffeine, trying to sleep better. struggling with anxiety, stress, these jitters, all these types of things. And I was like, wow, actually, I wasn't alone. I think I was normal, and just how I was feeling was normal. And I have something that could help a lot of people here. And so when I started the company, I wanted to bring that ethos of, yes, we're selling a beverage, but really we're about creating healthy habits that lead to healthy minds. And so everything from the beverages we sell to how we run our meetings tries to reflect that. And yeah, it's been a big shift, a positive shift for my mental state. And it just brought this whole journey has just brought so much personal growth for myself.
Could you describe the mental state? You say you feel better. Can you describe for our listeners and viewers what that is? What's better in your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I'm also a fine artist too, so I spend a lot of time in the studio in front of a canvas, and I think that's where I really got to feel the fabric of my mind, and how it changed depending on what I put into my body. So I started to notice that if I drank a tall cup of coffee, 200 milligrams, 300 milligrams, and then I tried to sit there with myself, when you're painting, it's a form of meditation, and I really noticed I was anxious. My heart was beating a little bit faster. I had a little bit of adrenaline. The cortisol levels were probably up, and because of that, I felt less in flow. I felt less able to drop into flow. And then the inverse was true, where I cut that down. I took care of my sleep, took care of my body, and I felt safe, and then I could drop into flow. And I guess to answer your question, it's like I feel more able to drop into flow on a consistent basis today, and I feel like that's where I want to be. That's where I want to operate. I think there are times where spiking adrenaline is really helpful. If I were in a fight, for example, it'd be helpful. Like I don't necessarily want to be meditating while I'm trying to defend myself.
Yeah,
But the thing is like day-to-day work where I'm either answering emails or conversing with a colleague or trying to come up with a novel solution for a problem or opportunity. Those situations, the adrenaline spike actually isn't fit for the situation, right? It's
yeah,
excessive. I like to describe it. It's like trying to light a candle with a flamethrower, it just like burns
yeah,
it out. And so
yeah.
I felt like previously I was burning out, and now I feel more more stable. Yeah.
Audience, could you tell us what the hustle culture is? Some people may not know what that means.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's definitely it's a big word, and I think it means something different to different people. When I think of hustle, what I think about is just like going for the sake of going. Um, I get inspired when it comes to work and balance. I get inspired by professional athletes. Professional athletes, they hustle in a way, like the best in the world. If you're looking at basketball, for example, like hustle is a part of the game, but so is rest and recovery, right? Like you look at the athletes at the highest level, they're focusing on sleep, they're focusing on their mental state. They have teams that are dedicated to recovering their body after the game. Not every single moment of the day can be a playoff game. They have to go and play the game at the highest level, and they have to rest and recover. I felt like previous to in my previous job in my Silicon Valley days, hustle to me was like every single day was the playoffs, and I just needed to go, 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 go. And what ended up happening was I was like 70% of myself. I was working 100% of the time, but I was 70% of my capacity. And my hypothesis is like that's that's a detriment to both yourself, but also your team and whatever you're working on. Because I think, back to my point around, hours worked doesn't actually equal output. It's about the quality. Of course, you have to show up, but it's about the quality of your thoughts, about your ideas, about how you piece it together, about how you manage your time. And so I think just finding balance is kind of what I'm looking for, high performance balance. And I think to me, hustle is just like going, grinding, burning out. You're kind of spinning your wheels.
Oh,
So when you decided that that was enough, and you were in Silicon Valley, and so did you moved out of there? Am I right?
Hmm. Yeah,
And
I actually took a leave of absence first too. I got invited to do an art residency in India, and so I quit my job in Silicon Valley. I was living in Mountain View at the time, and moved to India for 6 months, and came home after close to a year of traveling, and then moved down to Los Angeles.
well, your India experience obviously influenced the way that you work. I mean, I gather you start every meeting with breath work,
Yep.
right? I mean, this is you made a huge leap from a world that is on steroids and going
Yeah.
to the world that you're in now. And
A more internal world, it sounds like, doesn't it?
well, it sounds like a more loving world, a more welcoming world, less of, am I right? Less push, push, push. So my question is when you started hiring people, I mean, the very nature of being in California is more receptive to breath work, et cetera, et cetera. But did you ever have any pushback from people when you said we start every day with doing breath work? Did they ever say, I don't, that's not what I do?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people did it at the time. And we're a remote team, so we have people from all over the country. We have a 32-person team, about seven of us are in California. And so, yeah, I mean, there is a variety of backgrounds. And I liked that. And I think it was important, like, it's important to say that all of our habits, the rituals that we do as a company, they're totally optional, and we try to present them in a way that is very accessible as well. So there's options to ease into it, um, and all the full spectrum. You can also drop in deeply. I think that there wasn't. I think that most people knew that when they were joining our company, they're through the interview process, and also just through how we present ourselves externally through our brand, through our expression. Um, I think it's pretty obvious that we do things differently. We One of our core values is to lead with curiosity, to inspire curiosity, and we do that externally and we do that internally. And so,
I love that.
yeah, we communicate that, and I just love the notion of shaking up the snow globe. I think it creates fertile ground for new ideas to cultivate, and so when we were introducing breath work, like that was basically the why. And I spent a lot of time, every time a new employee joins, I spend a good amount of time explaining why we do it, which I think is really important.
Could you explain to our audience what breathwork is? I'm concerned some
Yeah.
people won't even know what it is. You know it, I know it, Monica does, but or maybe give us an example.
Yeah, I guess the broadest definition of breath work is anything. um, it's conscious breathing in some way or fashion. There's many forms of breath work, but it's bringing awareness and consciousness to the breath is probably the most simple. Like, you can just breathe out how you are now and just watch your breath. That's just a form of breath work. But I think what's interesting about breathing itself is it's an automatic practice. It's an automatic system. It works with the autonomic nervous system, but it's also something that you can take manual control over as well. So you don't have to think to breathe. You're going to breathe automatically. We've been breathing throughout this whole call without doing breath work, but at the same time, I can right now breathe in 3 times quickly and hold my breath, and I'm just taking it from autopilot into manual mode.
What can that do for us?
One interesting thing about the breath itself is that it co-regulates. So if we're in a stressful environment, our breath will start to speed up, right? If we're in a calming environment, like going to sleep, in a parasympathetic state, our breath will slow down. So our environment can influence our breath. But it's interesting because the inverse is also true. So if we're in a stressful environment and we take conscious breathing and apply that, we can calm ourselves. Even though we're in a stressful environment, all of a sudden now we can use our breath to calm ourselves. And the inverse is true. If we're in a calm state but we need to get hyped up, like maybe we're backstage, we're feeling too calm, we're about to do something big, something important, and we need to hype ourselves up, we can take in some
Like right now.
yeah, we can take in some more rapid breaths, right? And then we can excite our body, we can bring focus, we can bring energy. So I loved I loved learning about breathwork earlier on before starting this company as a tool that allows us to build a relationship with sort of the control panel of our body and mind. And when it comes to building a company, it's like we're all showing up, pursuing a collective vision, bringing our skill sets to the table. And I feel like this just adds to that. Being able to moderate your stress levels. Sometimes you're in a meeting and that meeting could be charged. There could be emotional energy in the room. You could be dealing with something stressful. I think embarking or imparting this tool amongst the team that allows us to all calm ourselves is really helpful. And starting the meeting with that practice of breath work is sort of like this reminder. It's like we're not sure where this meeting might go, but no, we have tools to bring balance, bring that homeostasis back, or lift ourselves up if we want to bring some more energy to the room.
It's conscious living. It's being conscious of what you're doing.
I find that breath is like it's a window into conscious living. Sure,
Right.
there, like you can just breathe 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out.
Monica, let's do that with it.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah, so breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe hold for 5, 3, 4, 5, and then exhale for 5, 3, 4, 5. Now at the bottom, don't breathe in yet. Hold there for 5, 3, 4, 5. And then you can go in, and this is a box breath. So you're just creating this nice slow pattern, and this is going to calm you down. And then there's more of a rapid breath, which might be similar to like more of a Wim Hof type breath or a Tumo breath, where it's more of a full inhale, exhale. So you do that, and that's a whole different feeling. You can start to feel your temperature increase.
I'm feeling better already, man. Wow.
No, that gives you energy.
Yeah, my energy is going through the roof.
Yeah, true.
It feels great.
Yeah, there's breath that can really calm you down, help you sleep. Then there's breath that can wake you up and help you fight if you need to.
Monica, we've got to ask them about these mushrooms.
Yes, we've got to ask you the mushrooms. We also have to ask you the choice of keeping the name Mudwater because that both.
Mudwater has mushroom in it, right?
Right?
You grew
Chaga.
Chaga. Is that what it is, Chaga?
It's
And you
chaga
grew
and
up
other
with
kinds.
mushrooms, and you are okay with your staff doing micro mushrooms during the day at work. Is that correct?
In our product, we have functional mushrooms. We have lion's mane, which is incorporated in our product for focus, and chaga and reishi are in our product for to help you manage stress, to bring about immune support. And then cordyceps is a really fascinating mushroom that a lot of endurance athletes are taking. It helps with cardio, fitness, that type of thing. And then there's this whole other set of mushrooms that we do not incorporate into our products, which are psychedelic mushrooms.
Okay, that's really good to know.
Yeah. So those are not in our blends, at least to date. These are illegal drugs, but drugs that are illegal substances. These substances are being researched right now because they have really amazing benefits, and I think really relevant benefits to mental health and sort of the mental health epidemic that I think most of us believe is a really important issue to solve. And we had an article come out about our stance on psychedelics and one use of psychedelics, which is microdosing. And that's taking a very, very small, some would call subperceptual, which would mean you can't really feel it, honestly. Like it doesn't change. You're not hallucinating. There's none of that going on.
You don't get high.
Yeah, and you're taking that, on some cadence, maybe 2 days on, 1 day off type of a thing. And in the article, I mean, I just spoke about like if an employee at Mudwater wants to microdose at work, like I have no right to tell them not to. In fact, we will provide them with we actually come out with editorial articles all the time about safe ways to do so, and so we'll share with them that. And I think some people were like, "Whoa, that's a crazy stance," but I really felt like it's not. Most companies actually stock most companies are already promoting the use of drugs, which I think most people don't realize. Like sounds sensational, but you go into the kitchen at 99% of offices, and you're going to find tons of caffeine in the form of coffee makers, K cups, energy drinks, soda, and you're probably going to find lots of alcohol as well. Um, Beers, wine, all of the above. These are drugs. These are drugs that shift consciousness. There's a lot of studies that come out, putting alcohol up there with the most dangerous drug on the planet, right? Psilocybin, most research around psychedelic mushrooms is showing it to be much more beneficial than it is dangerous, and much more beneficial than alcohol.
Is there one message you would like to leave with our audience? We're almost out of time.
I think my a quote that I love to ponder is, whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect.
Oh,
Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, time to pause and reflect. This is a quote from Mark Twain. And to me, it just speaks to perspective. I think it's really easy to follow the pack, and then uh, when you zoom out, sometimes you can find the pack might be marching in the wrong direction. And that speaks to my personal story, where I just kind of went to the office, was doing what everyone else was doing, and then found myself in a state where I was not feeling right. Once I questioned that, it was kind of this lead domino that allowed me to follow my own drum beat, find out what my drum beat was. And I think more people take that approach, I think they'll, expose themselves to a lot of amazing things in life.
this is great.
That's great.
We could just keep talking about this all day.
Yes.
There's so much in it. Is there a way our audience can find you online?
Yeah, me personally, my social media, my Instagram is so many possibilities. You could also just search Shane Heath. And then if you're interested in trying Mudwater, it's mudwater.com. So MUDWTR.com. And then our Instagram,
Great.
Thank you for that.
or drink MUDWTR is our Instagram handle. Yeah.
Great.
Great.
Thank you for being with us today. Shane, sorry. It's
Shane.
so good to see you again.
Thank you. And I guess I'm going to try Mudwater.
Let me know how it goes.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. So, are you with the majority or?
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I honestly am
Why?
intrigued.
Why?
Because lots of things that Shane said, I mean, in general, I think we're running around speeding. And yes, caffeine, I can see it. I mean, I have a 35-year-old son who I know is inhaling coffee.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he knows that he has anxiety, but I know that he has
So
anxiety.
we don't call them drugs. But
No,
he
we
nailed
don't.
it.
He did. And so I think there's something interesting. I mean, I have no idea what this stuff tastes like, but I'm willing to find out. I'm hoping that it's tasty.
Well, I think for our audience, one of the takeaways is to pay attention to what drugs you're using.
I think it's a great thing to
Coffee,
say. Yep.
Other things that are over the by prescription.
Cold
things we don't
medicine.
think of alcohol. We don't often think about those as drugs, but they are. And so it's just something to raise our consciousness about. So it's been great being with you.
It's been great being with you, and I kind of feel like I'm supposed to say namaste.
Yes, and watch us on YouTube. We hope you'll check in. And thanks for being here, everybody, and we'll see you in our next podcast.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.